Welcome to Ryan Waters Sports Drive.
Hi, this is Ben Rutledge, 2008 Olympic gold medalist.
Hi, this is Adriano Belli of the Toronto Argonauts. I just retired crushing quarterbacks, but I'm here with Ryan Waters.
Hey, it's Ryan Huska. You're listening to the Ryan Waters Sports Drive.
Now, here's your host, Ryan Waters.
Welcome back to the Sports Drive. Fantasy football is continuing this weekend as it's week 4 of the National Football League season, and fantasy football freak Luke is on the phone. And Luke, it's been an interesting start to this NFL season. We're only 3 weeks in, but the Detroit Lions, they're 3-0. The Buffalo Bills, which you're happy about, Ryan Fitzpatrick, the quarterback there who you have on your fantasy team, they're 3-0. Has it been a weird and interesting start to the NFL season as far as fantasy numbers go?
Definitely has been a weird start to the year. Yeah, as you said, to throw another team in there, well, look at Washington, they're 2-1. Look at Cleveland, they're 2-1. So when you think about it, you have Washington, Cleveland, Buffalo, Detroit, combined 10-2. Who would have thought? If you said if I could bet on them being 500 or 2-10, I might have said those three teams were 2-10. Although people did predict Detroit with Matthew Stafford would have a good year as long as he stayed healthy. But there have been some weird stories this year. One big one would be Chris Johnson, running back, Tennessee. He is signed that big contract, held out, made a big stink about it all through training camp, and then signed late. And he put up 2,000 yards rushing 2 years ago. Last year he had an okay year, but he was probably a top 5 pick in most leagues this year, and he's barely scratched the surface this year. I don't think he has 150 yards in 3 games, so it's kind of embarrassing. He actually got booed this weekend in Tennessee. So
well, that's what happens when you sign a big contract and you don't produce. Another guy that signed a big contract and has been injured a lot, or at least banged up a lot, is Michael Vick. And is that affecting a lot of fantasy numbers?
Well, Michael Vick, when you draft him, he definitely comes with risks. He puts himself in the line of fire. You saw him spouting off this past weekend about the referees not giving him the same calls that, say, a Tom Brady would get, Drew Brees. But there's a reason for that. He takes a snap, and then he's running around back there. So as soon as you put the ball down, you become a runner, and you don't get those nice calls that the QBs get when someone grazes their hand across their face mask. And it's called roughing the passer. So it's part of the risk of drafting Michael Vick. I mean, look at when in week 1 he put up huge numbers. In week 2, when he was hurt in Atlanta by friendly fire, in that first half he was putting up pretty awesome numbers, which the 20 points he put up in that first half would have been great for a day, and that was almost one half of work. And then this past week, of course, he hurt his hand. It's not broken, but it's bruised, and because of the hand that it is, it's not a throwing hand, but it's the hand that basically stops his snapping. When he takes a snap, he's taking the snap on that hand, so it's going to get hit every time he takes a snap. But risk of drafting Michael Vick is always the injury factor, and that he takes so many hits as a QB.
If you had Michael Vick on your fantasy team, would you start him this weekend?
Well, you see, yes, I would start him anytime I have the chance. If people are new to fantasy football, one key thing to look at, 90 minutes before the kickoff of each game, so that morning games, the afternoon games, teams have to post their inactive rosters. So you can tell if someone is going to be starting or not. So I would start Michael Vick, but you pay attention to that. I don't think there's any way he's not going to play. But this past week, a couple inactives came out of nowhere, and one I got burnt myself was Peyton Hillis. I think he went down with strep throat like Saturday night. And it wasn't till Sunday morning in that 90-minute period before the games kicked off that they announced he wasn't playing. Well, I wasn't in my house at the time, and it wasn't until about 11:30 when I kind of flipped on the TV that I saw I wasn't playing, and definitely got burned by that. So yeah, you have to pay attention to that inactives list.
How about guys that are having big numbers, big seasons, at least through the first 3 weeks as far as fantasy goes?
One pretty good number or great player out there, tight end Jimmy Graham, New Orleans, putting up huge numbers from the tight end position. I think he's got 2 touchdowns already this year. QB-wise, I mean, we've talked about the star of my team, Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's done really well. Matthew Stafford, QB Detroit Lions, he's put up pretty big numbers. But that goes back to everything I've said about the QBs. You can get a QB in that mid-round area, and they can still put up the big numbers. I think someone else that's put up huge numbers, another Buffalo player, Fred Jackson. At the beginning of the year, they were saying he wouldn't even be the starting running back for Buffalo, and right now he leads the league in rushing. So, there's a couple players for you that have put up pretty big numbers.
When you look at Week 4 of the NFL season coming up this weekend, who do you wish you had in your fantasy team?
Well, one guy for sure I think I'd want to have in my team starting this week is Aaron Rodgers. He's playing that porous Denver defense, and Green Bay always looking to throw the ball. I think this weekend he had 3 touchdowns, all to the same guy, Jermichael Finley. So I might look to see where Finley is in your league. I'd love to have him. I think no matter where you are, you probably definitely want to have Tom Brady or Wes Welker. I mean, while Oakland is, I think, what are they? Are they 3-0? Oakland's 2-1. They lost to Buffalo. But they've given up gigantic amount of points in offense to teams. So like Mark Sanchez this past week, even though the Jets lost, I think Sanchez had about 27 odd points in fantasy. So you know that defense of Oakland isn't very good, and well, some might argue that New England has a pretty good offense.
Yeah, some may argue that, absolutely.
Sarcasm.
Yeah. One guy that I'm hoping has a big week just because I like the Chicago Bears is Jay Cutler. What have you seen from him so far?
Jay Cutler, you know what? He's done all right this year. The problem with Jay Cutler is that they don't have any receivers that one might deem a top-rated receiver like a Larry Fitzgerald or Greg Jennings in Green Bay or Andre Johnson in Houston. So Jay Cutler, they chuck the ball all over the yard, but he's got a bunch of mid-range wide receivers, which definitely hurts him in the passing game. They do have Matt Forte back there, and you'll see Matt Forte as a running back. I think he's first 2 weeks he did really well with total yards and the fact that they run a lot of screen plays and short passes to Matt Forte. But Jay Cutler, he's just also the other risk is he's got to stay on his feet as well. He gets sacked a ton and he gets hit a lot, so there's the injury risk factor with him.
All right, it's Week 4 of the National Football League season, and my thanks to the Sports Drive's football fantasy freak, Luke. Good luck this weekend.
This has been the Ryan Waters Sports Drive.